Have you ever seen a movement? A movement is a group of people working together, a group of people doing the same thing with a common goal. If you've ever joined a viral TikTok trend or campaigned for somebody to be elected class president at your school, or even joined a small group here in student ministry, then you've been a part of a movement. In fact, let me tell you a little bit about a movement that I've been a part of, okay? And that's what we're going to talk about over the next couple of weeks. Because whether we realize it or not, movements have the potential to make big changes in our lives and in the lives of others. The movement that we're a part of here at church is following Jesus. And even if you're not sure what the whole faith thing is about, just stick with me, okay? Because it's actually a pretty big movement. It's one that's been around for thousands of years, right? That means it's got a pretty major movement, and it's beside believing in Jesus, there's one cool thing that we can all do as part of this movement. We can start serving each other. Serving simply means doing something good for other people, something that helps or benefits someone else. And when we serve other people together in big and small ways, we're joining the movement Jesus started to bring something good into the world. But let's be honest. Sometimes serving isn't the easiest thing to do. See, so often we serve other people only when we think it's good or convenient for us. If it satisfies a school requirement, or it lets us go on a cool trip, lets us hang out with our friends, then it's worth it. So serving is easier to choose when we can see how it benefits us. But when we think about serving that way, we're kind of missing the big picture. We're missing the movement that God is calling us to. He's calling us to be a part of something awesome. The good news is, for us, that we have a great example of what the movement of serving others can look like. That's Jesus. If we want to learn about what serving is really supposed to be, there's really not a better example than Jesus himself. The things he did and said, and how he treated other people while he was here on earth, those are the things that started the movement that we can still be a part of today. One of the best examples of the way Jesus served others is found in the book of John. We join the story right as Jesus and his disciples are gathered for a meal to celebrate Passover. Now, Passover was a really important holiday for them. It was a feast to remember the way that God was faithful to serve and rescue and save his people from slavery in Egypt thousands of years ago. Now, at this particular Passover, the disciples didn't realize they were in their final hours with Jesus. The time was coming when he was going to be arrested and he was going to be killed. And Jesus knew that. So as he gathered his friends in his last moments, Jesus probably wanted to share something really important to him. Something that would help the movement carry on. So let's take a look at what Jesus did. So he got up from the table, he took off his robe, he wrapped a towel around his waist, and he pours water into a basin. And then he started to wash the disciples' feet, drying them off with a towel that he had around him. That's John 13, 4 and 5. Okay, so maybe you're hearing this and you're thinking, that's kind of weird, right? Jesus washed their feet. Like, if being part of this whole movement means I have to wash people's feet, count me out, right? Well, let me reassure you, okay? That's not what I'm going to ask you, to literally wash somebody's feet. The act of washing somebody's feet was a little different back then. It was an act of service. See, at that time, people didn't really wear shoes like you and I do now. In fact, most people wore sandals and they walked miles on dirty roads. And the result was that their feet were covered in things like dirt and animal poo, and people's feet were dirty and nasty, and they smelled so badly that the practice of the day was to wash someone's feet for them when they entered a house. Washing someone's feet was not a glamorous job, to be certain, right? In fact, it was usually a job that was reserved for the servants. But so here Jesus is, he did it, right? He washed their feet. The savior of the world, the leader of a movement, the one who literally had the power to come back from the dead, he's the one who went out of his way to wash the feet of his friends. Right? Nobody saw it other than the disciples. If they hadn't written it down, no one would have even known about it. Jesus didn't do that so that other people would see and think he was amazing. He did it Well, he didn't do it because he had to. Jesus washed their feet for no other reason than to show them what serving others was really about. Jesus served by doing something he didn't have to do in order to help someone else. Remember, these were some of Jesus' last moments with his friends, right? He could have taken time to do just about anything. He could have given his friends instructions. He could have encouraged them to keep going, to speak one last message. But Jesus chose instead to serve them. Now, why? Why? Because it was important to him, right? Serving others is part of the movement that Jesus started all those years ago. It's part of the movement that we're all invited to join today. Let's take a look at what Jesus told his disciples after that. Jesus said, "And since I, your Lord and teacher, have washed your feet, you ought to wash other people's feet. I've given you an example to follow," right? "Do as I have done to you." John 13, verse 14 and 15. In other words, Jesus was saying this: do something you don't have to do. Why? Because Jesus did it for us. That's part of what it means to follow him. It's part of the movement. He served his disciples that way, and because of that, they served others. Now, here we are, thousands of years later, and we're still talking about what Jesus did. Why? Because the movement is still going. It's something we're all invited to be a part of today, to serve and to love other people the way Jesus did for us. Now, this week, we can join the movement by doing two things. Number one, we need to look for a need. Look for opportunity to serve others. Look for opportunity to do something you don't have to do for someone else. There are needs all around you. Trust me, right? We just have to ask God to open our eyes and see the need. Then we need to meet that need, right? Once you see the need, do something about it. Meet the needs that you see at home, the needs you see at school, with your friends and your teammates and the people around you. Give what you have to serve them. Whatever it is, make the step to meet the need, to join the movement, to serve, not because you have to, but because you know Jesus did it first.